got some bad news. Working on the drill grinder parts, and I came over to use the lathe and it worked. And then I tried to shift it back on and no can do. So I'm pretty bummed about that, as you can imagine. It seems like it would be something that I had touched before, would be wrong again. Yeah, I don't know what it could be. On the outside here, the shift linkage on the back of the headstock looks fine. So I'm assuming something has gone wrong with my replacement shoes or some part of that mechanism. I've been meaning to actually do a video on an update on this, just to check the condition of those shoes and make sure everything was good. But looks like we got forced into checking into it today. So I wanted to turn on the video, even though I do not feel like filming at all. I figured it would be worthwhile. You guys can see my sad reaction when we open it up and I see what the disaster is. What makes this all the better is I'm just getting over a back injury, and here I am wanting to lift up this 150-pound component. Got one thing, we've got to take off the end linkage or end gearing cover that screws into the headstock. Oops. Well, nothing obvious so far. I guess maybe that's good. I think I'll go get my genie lift over here. Oh boy. So, what it looks like is that bearing lock nut that I made a separate video about, that is not where it's supposed to be, which is on the end of that shaft. So basically what we've got is let's see if I can get them back in there or not. May not be able to, but there's little fingers that push out on this. I think it's the brake mechanism. And so those are sticking out, forcing this thing towards the tailstock. And man, I don't know. Don't know how that happened. That thing was basically on there to spec. The good news is the shoes look brand new, as far as I can tell from here. I will hopefully not have to completely take them out of the machine. But yeah, let me get the cover here safely put away, and then we'll change the camera angle so you guys can see better. All right, so one thing we need to do is find that part, little lock nut thing. Hopefully it's just straight down. Oops. Oh. Had the washer and then dropped it. Here we go. Okay, well, that's good. It's not all chewed up from rubbing on a gear. So it could be worse, I suppose. I feel like I've got pretty good access to all these little spots, but I'm not finding it. I guess we're almost certainly going to have to take this inspection cover off right here, just to make our fix. But I was hoping to be able to get the parts out. I guess we'll go ahead and do that then. Reminds me I need to get new fasteners back here. It was 2 socket head cap screws short, and I didn't have any the right length, so I just used hex screws. But anyway, we can definitely do better than that. So one thing about opening the headstock of a lathe, you just can't escape how messy it gets. Just oil everywhere, of course, and it just gets on everything. Okay, everything looks fine, other than the part that disassembled itself. Oh, there it is. Okay, got that started back on there. The only other thing I noticed while I've been in here is that the little set screw that holds these, so the pins that actually connect with the shoe, the brass shoes or the bronze shoes we made, that set screw seems to be pretty loose. So I'm wondering if that isn't part of my problem anyway. Yeah, see that? I don't know if you could see that from where the camera is, but that moved inward a good 1/8 of an inch. So definitely want to tighten that up. So I wonder if the problem was I just didn't bend down one of those tabs on that lock washer enough. It's kind of the only thing I can think of, because I mean, there's no damage to anything. Obviously, it unthreaded itself spinning. It's right-hand thread, so I guess the shaft is going in the direction that will help it unthread if it wants to. So that is interesting. The good news is I'm pretty sure I've got the my little socket thing I made for this project still in my toolbox somewhere. It's not like me to throw something like that out. And I'm sure I was thinking, well, maybe if I ever have to do this again, I'll have the tool ready without having to buy a new one or make a new one. But yeah, everything else looks okay. The oil's kind of dirty, but I guess for a machine that hadn't run in a very long time, as good a job as I did rinsing it with kerosene and really trying to be careful and do a good job, there's still no guarantee of getting all of the crap out of here. So maybe we'll drain or pump out the oil rather. I don't want to mess with the drain. It's such a mess when you do that underneath the lathe. But yeah, let me go find my little socket and then we'll see if we can get this thing adjusted right and then tighten up that set screw on the fork. And then we're kind of done. I don't think there's anything else wrong in here. Okay, there's our external Torx Plus driver that we made. Still fits like a charm. Trouble with doing this, of course, is I've got to adjust it, which means I've got to keep going back and forth from the front of the lathe to back here. Unfortunately, I don't have enough leverage to engage the clutch from back there. Though I can sort of get through here from the front. Let's try that. Maybe just a tiny bit more. It's what I'm looking for is the other end of this shaft that I'm screwing this nut onto. And there's some rollers that have wear marks in them where it's been shifted over the years. So I'm trying to get it back about where it was into there's kind of a little bit of a groove. So that looks absolutely perfect. Let's see. Yeah, we are spot on right there. So now what we need to do is make for certain that those tabs are on there rock solid so that thing can't spin out. Although, you know what, I'm just realizing, how does that work? Because I don't think there's a key on that shaft. I don't think my little washer is doing anything. Let me look at the video here when the washer was sitting up on the tailstock or on the headstock, and see if maybe I just got lucky and stuck it in or slid it into the key slot. There is a key slot cut in the shaft. I can see it from here, but I don't remember timing that washer to go in there with an internal tooth. So let me look at the video real quick and see if I just got lucky or if we need a new washer and that was the problem. Okay, we are on our way to getting the Monarch back up and running after our little incident with either a bad part or bad workmanship on my part. I think it's the washer is the problem, and we'll need to get a new one. But I wanted to show my little buddy here.
Yeah.
Are you like my little mini-me?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you look like me?
Kind of.
Kind of, because you're my kid, huh?
Yeah.
So what's your name?
My name is Colby.
And how old are you?
I am 6.5.
6.5. And what grade are you in?
I'm in first.
First grade?
Yeah.
And tell everybody what you got for Christmas.
And I got the Nintendo Switch from Santa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite present?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been playing it a lot, huh?
And then the games that I have is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, and I have Super Mario Maker 2.
Okay, well, this is my little partner. He helps me all the time. So we're gonna go and check out the footage and see if that little washer is the problem. And if so, we'll get a new one and fix it. And then hopefully we'll never have a problem again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, can you say bye to everybody?
Bye. I hope you had a great Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year.
After reviewing the footage and looking at a still of this guy being fished out of the oil, determined that that was indeed the problem. So it doesn't look like it was a clean break, but that internal tooth is completely sheared and missing. So I don't know when that happened. I'm pretty sure it happened before I got the machine and just didn't notice that it was missing. So when I reassembled everything, it had no chance of staying together. So this morning I went to our local bearing supply house and picked up a replacement for a grand total of $1.16. So that's what happens sometimes is you get a machine going down for a very cheap part, which is definitely better than having it go down and I've got thousands of dollars to spend ahead of me to get the machine going again. So all things said, not too bad. Just kept this shipping plastic over the headstock. Make sure there's no little chunks of dirt falling down on gears. And should be a fairly straightforward get up and going kind of deal here. Try and do it where you guys can actually sort of see what I'm trying to do. So the way this actually goes together, it was confusing to me at first. It seemed backwards, but it does indeed fit in with the coned or the tapered side of the bearing nut facing towards the bearing. In this case, it's the clutch. And then you bend over a tab or two if you get lucky into one of those slots. They unfortunately did not have a replacement nut. I was just going to get a new one because I was into this, but they didn't have one, and it's not that big of a deal to use the old one. It's just a little bit scuffed up. It's not unusable. Okay, it fits right on there, and the shaft hasn't moved, so when I start tightening this thing up, it should be about in the right position to have the right tension on the clutch. It's a lot harder to start it from this side of the lathe, but there we go. I also stopped by and got some new socket head cap screws, so when I put the cover on, it'll look a lot more presentable. Look like it's supposed to, as a matter of fact. Okay, so let's try this again. We're not in gear there. Looks like the, well, yeah, that looks good. We'll be happy with that. And the other thing we need to do is tighten up my little set screw down here so that that shoe holder doesn't slide around anymore. I'll start with the 1/8 inch, but I think it's probably going to be smaller than that. I think we've got everything back together. Seems to be working just fine. Oiler's in the right spot. So now the tough part, we've got to get the headstock cover back on. This is definitely one of those times when having friends is good. I do have friends, but none of them live close. Oof. Okay, got the power hooked back up, and then we will get power to the VFD. And this is going to sling a little bit of oil when it's running, but it shouldn't be a huge mess. Just trying to make sure we don't have anything dangerous here. Start the motor. Don't want that to vibrate out and land on something important there. So you can see the clutch is spinning. Maybe you can see it. Yeah. So belts are going off the motor up to here. And when I push the lever down, it'll pull that end of the assembly down. There we go. Got a functioning lathe again. And then we've just got some oil drippers that come in here and drip, drip, drip while it runs on those gears. But I think we're have a successful fix here. Okay, get the covers back on and the lathe will be operational once again. Thanks for checking out this quick little fix. Certainly didn't want to be doing this, but you know, sometimes things break. I'm glad it was so cheap. That was the one nice thing. Kind of a lot of work to get things done, and had to wait overnight for supply place to open and everything. But hey, $1.16 to get a $20,000 lathe going again, no problem. We'll see you next time.